Maya had just moved into her new apartment, a quaint place with creaky floors and old faded wallpaper. The only thing that unnerved her was the long antique mirror in the hallway. It was tall with an ornate frame that seemed out of place in the modest apartment. On her first night as she passed the mirror on her way to bed, she noticed something strange. Her reflection didn't quite match her movements. She would turn her head, but her reflection would lag, turning a split second later. It was subtle, but it sent a shiver down her spine. Maya dismissed it as fatigue from the move. But each night the strangeness grew. The reflection began to smile when she wasn't or blink when her eyes were open. It was as if the mirror held a version of her, but something was off. One evening, determined to prove it was just her imagination, Maya stood in front of the mirror staring at her reflection. For a moment everything seemed normal. But then her reflection's smile widened, unnaturally stretching across its face in a way that made her stomach churn. Before she could react, the reflection lifted its hand and waved even though Maya hadn't moved. Terrified, Maya backed away, but the reflection didn't follow. Instead, it pressed its hand against the inside of the glass as if trying to push through. Suddenly the lights in the hallway flickered and went out. In the darkness, Maya could still see the faint outline of her reflection, now moving closer to the surface of the mirror. Desperate, she reached for the light switch. But when the lights came back on, the reflection was gone. The mirror now showed only the empty hallway. But when Maya looked closely, she saw it. Her reflection wasn't gone. It was still there, trapped on the other side, pounding silently against the glass, its eyes wide with terror as if trying to warn her. But it was too late. The reflection that now stood in the hallway smiled at her. A cold, sinister grin. It wasn't her anymore. Maya's screams echoed through the empty apartment, but no one heard them. The next tenant would find the mirror perfectly clean except for a faint handprint on the inside of the glass. The next day, Maya's absence was noted by her colleagues and friends, but it wasn't until a week later that someone came looking for her. The landlord unlocked the door, and the apartment was found exactly as she had left it, except for one thing. The mirror in the hallway was shattered, the glass scattered across the floor like shards of ice. But despite the destruction, there was no sign of Maya. As the authorities combed through the apartment for clues, one of the officers noticed something strange. Among the broken pieces of glass, he found a fragment still attached to the wall. On its surface was a small, perfectly preserved image of an eye wide open and filled with terror. The officer recoiled, feeling a chill run down his spine. The investigation continued, but no explanation could be found. The case was eventually closed, marked as an unsolved disappearance. Months passed, and the apartment was rented out to a new tenant, a young woman named Claire. She loved the charm of the old place, even if it felt a little eerie at times. The landlord, eager to move on from the mystery, never mentioned the strange events that had occurred before. One evening, while settling in, Claire decided to hang a new mirror in the hallway to replace the broken one. As she adjusted the frame, she noticed something odd. A small, almost imperceptible crack in the wall, right where the old mirror had been. Curious, she tapped on it, and the wall gave way slightly, revealing a hidden compartment.